All right, we're going to talk about something huge today, math anxiety. But maybe not in the way you think. See, it all starts not with numbers, but with this really simple story about a farmer and some seeds.
Yeah, before we even get into any of the math stuff, the formulas, the tests, all that, I want to tell you a story. It's a really old one, and it's all about patience and trust and about how some of the most important growth happens where you can't even see it. Okay, so let's dive in. This is a story about a farmer, sure, but it's really about something much deeper, a kind of wisdom that we can use for our own minds. So this farmer, his process was super deliberate. Every single season, he did the exact same four things. He'd prepare the soil, think out some good seeds, sow them, and then water the field. That's it. He did his part, and then, and this is key, he stepped back. And this is the most important part of the whole story. After all that work, he'd look out at his field, and what did he see? Nothing. Just dirt. But the farmer, he knew better. He knew that what you see on the surface isn't the whole picture. Not even close. The real work, the most important work, was just getting started, underground. And right there, that's the connection. That little unseen seed working away quietly under the soil. Well, that's a perfect metaphor for how our own brains learn things. I mean, think about it. The parallel is just so powerful. A seed is putting down roots, totally invisible from the surface, right? Well, it's the exact same thing when you're learning. Your brain is building all these new connections that you literally can't see or feel. And just like you can't scream at a seed to make it sprout overnight, you just can't rush real understanding. It has its own schedule. But what happens when we don't trust that invisible process? You know what happens? We get impatient. We get anxious. We get this urge to dig. And that right there is where all the trouble starts. So picture this. One day, someone's walking by the field and asks the farmer that exact question. And it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? If you want to know if something's working, you check on it. That voice, that's the voice of doubt. It's that impatient voice that lives inside all of us. But the farmer's answer was so simple, yet so wise. He just says, if I keep digging, the seed will never grow. See, he understood something fundamental. Messing with the process, constantly demanding proof that it's working, that will actually kill the very thing you're trying to grow. So, what does this digging look like in our own lives when we're trying to learn math? Oh, you know what it is. It's that nagging voice of self-doubt. It's looking at the person next to you and thinking, wow, they're so much faster. It's that crushing pressure we put on ourselves to get it right now. Does any of this sound familiar? That little voice in your head that says, I studied for hours yesterday. Why don't I understand this today? Everyone else is getting it. Something has to be wrong with me. That right there, that's not just a thought. That's the shovel. And it's digging up that little seed of confidence before it even has a chance to sprout. Okay, can we just pause right here for a second? I need you to hear this. Nothing is wrong with you. Seriously. The seed is just doing its thing, quietly, underground. Your brain is working. It's building those connections, especially when it feels like it's not. So if digging is the problem, what's the solution? What do we do instead? Well, we do what the farmer did. We learn how to water. We learn how to nurture that growth instead of trying to force it out of the ground. Just think about the farmer's mindset for a second. He didn't panic when he saw an empty field, right? He didn't blame the soil, or in our case, he didn't blame his own brain. He just trusted the process. He trusted the work he'd already put in. Because learning, it's not a light switch that just flips on. It's a journey. And guess what? It almost always starts with confusion. That feeling of, I don't get this at all, is totally normal. It's step one. Then, with a little consistent effort, that confusion starts to feel, well, familiar. And after a while, that's when you get it. That's clarity. And here's the thing. You just can't force it. Trying to rush it with pressure and fear and self-judgment, it doesn't work. In fact, it does the opposite. It slows everything down. It's literally like grabbing a little sprout and pulling on it to try and make it grow faster. All you're going to do is rip out the roots. So this is what we mean by the farmer's way. It's all about shifting your focus. You stop obsessing over one bad day or one problem you can't solve. Instead, you look at the whole season of learning. It's about those small, regular efforts, right? Doing just one practice problem, asking just one question. All that little stuff adds up over time. Because you know what? When you finally stop digging and you start watering, when you really truly trust the process, something kind of magical and inevitable happens. One day, the farmer looks out at his field, and there they are, these tiny little green shoots poking through the dirt. That's it. That's the proof of all that quiet work that was happening underground. For us, that's the aha moment. You know the one, when a concept just suddenly clicks. And it didn't come because you forced it. It came because you were patient. So if you take away only one thing from this whole story, please let it be this. When you're struggling with a problem, when you feel lost and confused, I want you to remember, you are not failing. You are not slow. You are growing.
That's what's happening. You're growing, even if you can't see it yet. So, I'm going to leave you with a question. Forget all about digging. Forget about looking for proof. Instead, just ask yourself this. What will you water today? Maybe it's just one practice problem. Maybe it's 5 minutes of review. Maybe it's just asking one question you're afraid to ask. The harvest will come, I promise. For now, just water.